So this is a brainchild of Chums Media in collaboration with Chums Adventures and powered by NCBA. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for these amazing individuals who decided it is time to come together and do something for the returnees, right? Now, kindly help me also appreciate our other sponsors who are in the building. Can we have a round of applause for Unity Homes? Can we have a round of applause for Front End? ISO Properties? Safari Link?
Allow me to introduce Professor Dominic Mwenje. I don't know how we met first, and then at that time he was the CEO. The matter was a little, I think we can have him fly. As we're going to go through, what I'll do in this session, I'll go through, most of you have come back, and there are some who are coming back, but consciously you haven't put what you have gone through in perspective. And some of you have gone through that, and I went through that. So I'll put that in perspective so you can go, I went through that. I went through that. And along the way, we have to figure out how do we help even those brothers and sisters who want to come back so that they can be able to settle and make a contribution to this country. Because we come back, we love our country. We have things in other countries that we do, but because we love this country, we decide, let's go back and give back to our country. And that's why I came back. Otherwise, being a university president, I really didn't have to come back. I had a good life. Professor will tell you, you're in the top 1% of the population in the US. So there is no motivation to come back, but you need to come back and give back to our country, because we love this country. So part of what I do, I see, I'm with the Miramar International Foundation. I'm also the chairman of the Central Bank Pension Fund. That was one of the best managed funds in the region, actually in Africa. So, and that's why we say we manage our fund very closely, and it's good to give back, and it feels good. Now, I want us to look at what is reverse culture shock, and we'll go through this quite fast. It refers to the emotional and psychological distress that individuals may experience when returning to their home culture after an extended stay. And I'm sure most of you have come back. While many are familiar with the concept of culture shock, those feelings are of confusion and disorientation when entering a new culture. Reverse culture shock can be just intense. So disengagement stroke departure. Let me tell you, the moment I decided to come back, it took me 3 years to decide to come back. Because you're scared, you're going like, oh my gosh, okay, what am I going to do? What are my kids going to do? You know, do I live in the village? When you go to the village, and then you go to the village after 27 years, the people you're meeting there that are your classmates, you cannot recognize them. Some of them, life has been a bit hard. Others, they have children who have children and they've been hearing. So you have this guy who is coming, hey uncle, how you doing? You say, I'm so and so. Whose child are you? You know, so you go through that. You go through all those things. So this is the initial stage which begins before you return. Living a comfortable life before, and all of us went through that. The next stage is euphoria, and this is where you know you are going to make a difference. You're so gung-ho until the rubber hits the road. You're so gung-ho. That phase here is what we call dampened, the second phase. That phase is dampened euphoria, and that's what we are going through. And most of you have gone through that. You're happy, you're gung-ho, and then you realize, hey, the environment that I thought I would have ahead on that side, when I come here, hey, these things are not working, bro. Okay? You try to go to this office, things are not working. Go there, somebody tells you something, and you go like, dude, when you're dealing, especially when you're dealing with CEO and higher ups, when I get a word from a CEO, I expect that CEO to follow through. True? And I usually tell them, as a CEO, your word is gold. I can go to the bank. Then you realize there are people who tell you things that they actually don't mean, and you end up wasting a lot of time. You've gone through that. So that's a realization you have to come through. So your trust barometer has to come down kidogo, so you take things a little bit in a more skeptic way, such that, that's why you say trust but verify. The first thing I see, you see there, conned. How many of you have been conned? Most of us, isn't it? I was conned so many times by both relatives and friends that I became very skeptical. Okay? The first one I remember I was conned when I was in Vietnam. I had a meeting in Vietnam with the Economic Council there. And then I needed to get an office in Viewpark Towers. You know Moi University used to be on Viewpark Towers many years before. We came and took over the whole floor. But then it was not enough. There was another floor on the 8th or the 7th, one of the other floors, and we sat down and we agreed with the people that I will take over that floor. See, I'm in Vietnam. Say, call your banker, send the money, and blah, blah. They said, okay, fine. We sent the money, we wired. One day when we came back, there was somebody else in the same office. I was like, what happened? Oh, no. They use your money to clear the arrears, then they let go. Those things happen, and you have to be prepared for those things to happen. And I'm sure most of you have gone through that. Okay, but you have to be resilient, and you have to be able to have a thick skin. Number 3, alienation and clinicality. Here, what I'm talking about is the initial excitement fades, frustrations mount. You become critical of your home culture. And how many of you have been critical of your home culture after you come back? They may feel like outsiders in your own country. We have all gone through that because you have these fantastic ideas. You have done well in the other country. You want to come here and make a difference, and then you're not going anywhere, and you get that frustration. People are not interested. Sometimes they don't understand what your vision, and sometimes when you have the vision carrier, it becomes very difficult for other people to tag along and come, leading to the feelings of resentment and myself. Visions that are informed by experiences elsewhere collide with those that are based on a narrow exposure. What am I saying here? You will talk to some of your friends, and you have this big vision, and they will talk you down. They say, Prof, you must say it's a Kenya. And you know it is possible. So how do you deal with that? It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Then the 3 constants in life. I have always believed there are 3 constants in life. 1, education. 2, healthcare. 3, food.
It is a privilege to be part of this forum, which I believe marks the beginning of many more to come. Congratulations, Mr. Chamwada. We eagerly anticipate a fruitful experience that will enhance our policies regarding diaspora returnees. I don't know if I qualify to be a returnee, but I was in South Africa for 4.5 years as the deputy head of mission. I don't know if being a civil servant disqualifies us from being returnees, but it was a very interesting experience there. Mr. Gashora, who is the CEO of NCBA, we were with him in South Africa when we were trying to build the diaspora associations then, and he was playing a very critical role in bringing together the diaspora for us to be able to have some semblance of development projects then, even then. But I've also served in UNESCO as Ambassador Deputy Head of Mission. I was the Chargé d'Affaires in France, accredited to Portugal, Serbia, Holy See, and Monaco before I came back last year. It's almost exactly a year since I came back. So I am a returnee of sorts. Having returned, I have not established any business. Can you imagine? I feel a little bit wishy-washy. When I heard the stories that were being told, it was almost like those of us who've returned and not made anything out of the experiences that we had out there. It's almost like we wasted that experience, you know? So why did we go if we couldn't bring back anything back home, apart from being civil servants? International migration has played a crucial role in shaping modern civilization. We celebrate your courageous decision to return home and reintegrate into Kenya's systems. Each of you brings unique value gained through experience and enormous achievements which will undoubtedly enrich our nation in many, many ways. Karibuni nyumbani. The State Department for Diaspora Affairs was established by the current administration in recognition of the immense value of our beloved brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Although we are just 21 months old, we are making strides, we are learning, we are adapting, and definitely committed to our mission. Many have inquired about the specific functions of the State Department. Our role encompasses supporting diaspora engagement, facilitating communication between citizens abroad and their government, and promoting initiatives that harness the talents and resources of our diaspora community for national development. So many people ask, what exactly do we do? Because what I have just said is a political statement, but what exactly do we do? It had our mandate. We have a 9-point mandate. The first one is to champion the rights and promotion of the welfare and interests of Kenyans abroad. We heard the complaints by the diaspora that we were only interested in remittances. It is true, we're very interested in remittances. But that is not all that we are interested in, because the diaspora is much more than remittances. As what we are learning today, what we are speaking about today, they are much, much more than just the remittances. There is the issue of the welfare. We believe that if we are able to cater for the welfare of the diaspora where they are, then they are able to even look at us more favorably as a government and say, Labda, maybe I can do something that will support the communities where they come from. And so we've been able to take what we call the mobile consular services to the diaspora. What do we do in these services? We carry along the ID people, we carry along immigration people, so we are able to give out IDs, we are able to do birth certificates, we are able to do death certificates. For those who are married abroad, we are able to have them get their marriage certificate as well as have them regain their citizenship. You will recall that a lot of the diaspora left during some political events and they did not want to be associated with Kenya in any respect whatsoever. We have been trying to tell them we are not very bad people. We are trying our level best. And in the efforts of telling them we are not very bad people, we have taken services there and we have been able to serve over 13,000 in the last 1 year that we have implemented the mobile consular services. We promote continuous dialogue with the Kenyans abroad. What kind of dialogue? The Kenyans have been able to tell us exactly what they need. And I will let you know that to be able, as a response to some of the proposals that we now have a 24-hour call center. This call center is catering for the diaspora, for them to when they have especially psychosocial needs. We recognize that a lot of the diaspora are not familiar with winter and how brutal it can be. They are not familiar with not having the githeri, they are not familiar with missing ugali of all the things and sukuma wiki. So when they go out there, it is dark, there is no githeri to comfort yourself, there is nobody speaking Kiswahili, they feel depressed. And we've also noticed that a lot of incidents happen during winters. That's when we have Kenyans, having issues, the kind of issues we have. And then we are trying to help them manage the cold, manage the loneliness by having a call center where they can call and speak to somebody and say, I want to speak to somebody in Kikuyu. Then somebody who speaks Kikuyu is put on the line and they're able to just have that connection with us. Because that connection we realize is very important. Some of them are in places where they are by themselves. There is nobody else. So when we talk about welfare, it is the holistic welfare of the diaspora.
Acknowledge Mr. Chamwada for all the good work he's doing through the years. Actually, his program of Daring Abroad was one that I had an opportunity to watch as I was visiting back home before. So my name is Kunga Kihoya. By the way, all protocols observed to everyone in the room. My name is Kunga Kihoya, or Gakuga. Okay, but I'm born and raised in America to two Kenyan parents who immigrated in the 1960s late 1960s. The Diaspora story is a long one, and it goes back to the Tom Mboya airlifts with the Kennedy president at the time, and then there was an act passed in America called the Immigration and Naturalization Act in 1965, which then opened doors for Africans and other immigrants to immigrate to America. And so I'm turning 50 at the end of this year, and so that's I say about 50 years of Kenyans being born abroad. I'm probably the first line of what we'll call second generation Kenyans. These are Kenyan children born in America or anywhere else outside of Kenya to Kenyan parents. And the numbers are roughly about 1 million, because right now we have about 4 million Kenyans in the diaspora, and about 23 to 25% of them have had children. So we have about 1 million children who, according to the 2010 Constitution, are Kenyan citizens, and a large population out there. So with that, one of the things that we'd like to, I'll be discussing with Alex and a number of individuals here, is how can we engage these second generation children of Kenyan immigrants. We believe that there is an additional $1 billion of remittances and other investments that can come to Kenya if there is a pathway, a structured, organized pathway of engaging the children of Kenyans who have been born abroad, because they deal with serious issues of identity crisis, what we'll call a Kenyan heritage identity continuity crisis, because they're born in these countries and they don't fit in, they're not 100% American or any other country, they're not 100% Kenyan. And dealing with that identity issue, they end up falling victim to many different delinquencies, let's put it that way. And that's actually encapsulated in Obama's story. Obama tells in his book, Dreams of My Father, how he ended up getting into drugs and alcohol before he took his trip to Kenya and to his father's home, which gave him a sense of self, a sense of identity. So when he went back to America, he was able to flourish. We would like to be able to work with entities like Chamwada, banks, and other institutes to find pathways of engaging these second generation Kenyans, that they can come back home and have that sense of identity, so when they return back to their countries of their birth, they have a sense of self, and they will send money, they'll send resources, it'll be great. So I want to say thank you.
Anyway, I'm very happy to be here. I taught Swahili to foreigners for 12 years. I taught Swahili in big universities like Northwestern, Stanford, and currently I am Assistant Director of Student Life and Academic Instruction at St. Lawrence University in New York, but we have a campus here in Kenya. I don't know whether we shall have another chance to share this, but this is a university that has been in Kenya for 50 years, and we offer 2 scholarships every year. So if you have young Kenyans who are wishing to go study in the US, please, St. Lawrence is the university of choice. Otherwise, thank you so much, Michael.